Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Kyle Bauer visits Allen Featherstone to discuss agricultural economics at K-State. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Kyle Bauer and Mykel Taylor talk about how farmers can improve their communication with landowners. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first, Kyle Bauer is talking ag economics with Allen Featherstone from K-State.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I get the opportunity to visit with Allen Featherstone. He is the head of the Ag Econ Department for Kansas State University. I have to tell you, Allen, I sat with some of your grad students today at lunch. The Ag Econ Department at Kansas State is pretty well thought of around the United States.
Yes, it is. In terms of over the last 15, 20 years, the department has really improved in national stature. The National Research Council from the Academy of Sciences rated the department as fourth in the country on productivity of faculty, productivity of students, and so we're certainly have a good stature. A lot of that stature nationally comes from the fact that we made a conscious decision as a department to focus on the commercial agricultural sector. A number of departments nationwide, rightly for them, chose to focus on environmental issues, obesity type issues, and certainly those are important issues. But here in Kansas, we feel that the strength is the commercial agricultural sector, and we want to provide the education, research, and outreach to help that sector progress.
Now, in all candor, I'm an Ag Econ grad from Kansas State, but the department to me appears to be bigger now than when I was here.
It has, in terms of we've went from about 300 students to about 425 students in their undergraduate programs. We have two main majors, agricultural economics and agribusiness. We also have increased our graduate student enrollment from about 50 students to 70 students. 70 is the largest we've had in the history of the department. And then we have a distance program that is for those in the working industry that we run about 100 a year. And so with those combined, we're running pretty close to 600 students a year that we're in the process of helping them with their education.
Now, it's my perception Kansas State Ag Econ pretty much pioneered distance learning for graduate programs for people in the industry.
Yes, in terms of we were the first to start the program in 1998. Since then, we've probably had more than 500 students that have went through the program. One of the things we've started doing is focusing more on the animal health and companion animal portion of the sector, and so that is another opportunity to grow as that industry becomes more important in the state of Kansas, nationally, and even worldwide. We have 35 PhD faculty on staff. We've actually went through a transition here where we've had a number of long-term, very successful faculty retire, and recently we've hired a number of individuals to essentially position us for the future. Bright individuals from all over the country, all over the world that have a passion for the commercial agriculture sector.
After all these years, though, you're still in Waters Hall. At some point, you've got to be topped out on the amount of room or the amount of space that you can actually put people in.
Certainly the space is an issue. We did benefit from the business building. With everything shaking out, we were able to obtain some more space within Waters. and we've actually went through a renovation process where we've actually modernized waters. And one of the comments I had from a long-term supporter or a long-term department member was, waters really could be beautiful with reinvestment and remodeling and bringing it up to date. But coming from an economics department, the big thing that we have a necessity for success is good internet connectivity, and then the office space, whereas other departments need a lot in laboratory space and the expensive equipment. We're fortunate as a department not to have those huge capital needs.
Visiting with Allen Featherstone, he is the head of the Ag Econ Department for Kansas State University. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Noah Scrimshire from Perry, Kansas, who will be a junior at Kansas State University, is joining us, and he served as one of the interns with Kansas Soybeans this summer. And Noah, very busy time, and I know they really get you on the ground running as soon as you start your internship.
When we first got in there, we have shared files on the computer and everything, and they're just giving you full access, and it's really a hands-on approach.
So what were some of the things you did this summer?
We had a big report that we gave to some of our congressional members out in Washington, D.C. We put together a biodiesel survey to survey retailers within the state. We put together a corporate tour down to Wichita for different aspects of the soybean industry. So we've gotten to travel quite a bit. We've done a lot of office work and just really made a connection to consumers and producers.
You're majoring in agribusiness at Kansas State. What got you interested in wanting to be a part of this internship?
Mr. Hoopy there, the director of field services, so he's been working on me for a couple of years, but I saw the email as well, was very interested, and I see the connection between the communications work we do and marketing.
And especially with a commodity like soybeans, that is so important, not only from the legislative perspective, but as you just mentioned, the marketing perspective too.
Yeah, of course, especially in a time right now where we've got so many political obstacles, and we also have obstacles such as drought. So you've got to find a way to get the product out there, and we've got a unique way of doing that here at Kansas Soybean.
What was the biggest thing you learned in this internship?
The biggest thing that I learned was being pretty detail-oriented. We had a lot of different tasks, and it was easy to get distracted. So having a good list of things to do and making sure to find the right people, and we have the right people there. So getting the correct information is key.
If there's a student out there who might have an interest in this, why should they sign up? Why should they apply for this internship?
It really is the connection to the people in the industry that I've really enjoyed. And for somebody that's grown up on a farm and a ranch, getting to see this side of the industry, working in an office is huge. So if you have the opportunity, it'd be a great chance.
And really talking to the producers, that had to be a pretty satisfying experience.
Yes, sir. Meeting people from all across the state under different conditions and getting to learn from them and kind of the ins and outs. It's just, as a young guy trying to get into the industry, there's nothing better.
That is Noah Scrimshire from Perry, Kansas, who will be a junior at Kansas State University. He joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more as Kyle Bauer and Mykel Taylor talk about farmer and landlord relationships.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All over the country, More and more communities are making the change to biodiesel, made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Kim Mandering with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn more about communication skills and farmland with Kyle Bauer and Mykel Taylor.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with Professor Mykel Taylor. She's with the Ag Econ Department at Kansas State University. The title of your talk today was of interest to me, and I'm going to let you say it, but then tell us what that actually means.
Well, the title of my talk was The Value of Social Capital in Farmland Leasing Relationships. And what it means is we're studying how the interactions between farmers and landowners affect their leasing negotiations and ultimately how much is being paid for that land. So we're really looking at the relationships and the trust that they build between each other and how they look at each other's actions and trying to figure out, how those things affect the outcomes.
What are the keys to trust?
Well, the biggest key is communication, and that's the one that I try to emphasize as much as possible in my extension program. Is communication helps us get over a lot of the hurdles that are affected by in farmland leasing. For example, communicating about conservation practices is one area that we are looking at. Just trying to see whether or not they're having conversations about the types of conservation practices that are being used and who is maybe paying for those and who's benefiting from those and how they approach that particular topic.
A lot of people go into farming because they like to be alone in a field by themselves. Do you find that communications is a stumbling block for a lot of farmers?
Well, and I also sometimes make fun of my farmers because they're men, and I'm married to a man, and that becomes kind of interesting, to talk to them about communicating with their landowners. But you're right, they're not necessarily people persons. And so what we talk about is how can you communicate with your landowner and what do different landowners need? Some of them need phone calls. Some of them are happy with a text. Others are going to be interested in a newsletter, while some others will want to follow you on Facebook. And you really have to be willing to find out what those different levels of communication are that you're going to get from each of, or that you're going to give to each of those landowners in order to optimize that relationship.
Well, and some things are important to one person and they're not important to another, but about the only way to know is to ask them.
Oh, absolutely. If we're talking to each other, and it's more than once a year when we send the rent check, we have to be talking to them throughout the year, keeping them apprised of what's going on with their crop. That's really important to people. It's really important to them knowing what's going on. So even just taking a picture of the crop and sending it to them so that they have some idea of what's going on is helpful.
Farmers have gotten, so they have more and more consultants, more and more people on their team, if you will. Can they delegate this out to someone in their organization?
It's possible to do that, but I think you want to keep in mind that a lot of landowners have a very strong attachment to their land. In half the cases, it's inherited ground, so it has a family connection, and that means that they're going to want to know the farmer themselves, and they're going to want to know how they're taking care of it. So I think while you can delegate certain activities, I think there's still a level of interaction that's going to be important to come straight from the farmer.
We're visiting with Professor Mykel Taylor with Kansas State University. This is Kyle Bauer. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamnkansas.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. He said, well, I have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Kim Manring with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau Update.
I'm George Pretz from Paola, Kansas, Miami County. I represent District 2, and today I'd like to talk about the Rails to Trail topic, which has been in Kansas Farm Bureau policy for the last 35 years. U.S. Congress passed a bill where this land would be rail banked, and the railroad company would let a trail group make it a recreation trail that you could walk on, bike on, ride horses on, and it happens to go through 5 counties, starting with Miami, Franklin, Osage, Lyon, Morris, and ending at Harrington in east central Kansas. And over the years it has developed problems for adjacent landowners, working with the trail groups that managed the area in the past. But just lately, this past session, they passed Senate Bill 331, which has turned over the management, made it a state park, and turned the management over to the Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. And they are now responsible for the management of the day-to-day operations of the trail.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Summer is busy at Tarwater Farm and Home. We have just about everything you'll need for your summer projects, and we're consistently competitively priced. Tarwaters can help make your grass and garden grow, and we have a huge variety of equipment to cut it. If you have a farm, Tarwaters has the products and equipment to keep it going strong. And our expanded parking lot will make it even more convenient to shop. So come see us at Tarwater Farm and Home in Topeka. This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Duane Toews.
Wow, what an introduction.
I'll charge you for that jingle someday.
Fact or fiction question of the day, Kyle Bauer. U.S. Park Ranger Roy Sullivan holds the record for living through the most lightning strikes.
Roy Sullivan.
Fact or fiction?
Roy Sullivan sounds like a prize fighter. Okay, there's so many things that could be wrong with that being fact. He could have been a baseball player struck by lightning. He could have been a park ranger, not by that name. He could have been a park ranger that was actually eaten by a bear that many times instead of...
Eaten by a bear? It's hard to survive being eaten by a bear.
Or just one appendage at a time.
Oh,
okay,
mauled by a bear.
Well, he just ate an arm, ate a leg,
Chewed on his
an ear. I don't think it was that. Roy Sullivan, park ranger, hit by lightning. I'm going to go with fiction.
It's true.
Really?
Old Roy, 7 times hit by lightning.
You wouldn't be standing around visiting with Roy.
No, Roy
had a hard time making friends.
He had no close friends. All his friends were at arm's length.
Everybody just called him on the phone.
Yeah.
Wireless phone on top of that.
No
phone line. Yeah, exactly.
That whole landline thing, can you really be... people talk about don't shower in a rainstorm, for example.
Yeah, well,
Is it possible?
I think it's possible. Highly unlikely. I think it's, but no, I think
know of no one, and I've lived for 50 years.
Yeah.
I know of no one who died being electrocuted in their bathtub in a lightning storm.
Yeah, me either. I don't even know anybody who was ever even injured that way. Do you know any? Have you ever been hit or not hit by lightning, but near? Actually, if you ever been hit by lightning, it would explain a lot.
Yeah. Well.
But have you seen it hit?
Yeah, actually, I have. My brother was struck, so to speak. I think he was struck by lightning.
Which one? The goofy one?
Yeah, I'm not going to divulge names to protect the guilty.
Okay.
But we were in the barn one time when we were kids, and there was a storm, and it came through the wooden barn and knocked him down.
So did you see fire around you? I mean,
a light.
You just saw a big flash.
I saw a flash.
You didn't see fireballs coming down?
No fireball or anything.
And so what did it do to your brother? Knocked him down?
It just knocked him down, and I mean, he was a little tingly.
Yeah.
So I suspect.
But he didn't get knocked out?
No, I did not. He was not unconscious.
Well, I assume you didn't take him to the doctor.
No. We were
We don't go to the doctor. I
No.
broke my leg once and my parents didn't take me for 3 days. Lace that booze up, boy. Seriously.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Can you wiggle your toes? Yeah, then you didn't break it. So I was once playing center field in Morganville at the softball field.
Yeah.
And a bolt of lightning came and hit the house right behind home plate. Now it was like 100, not 100 yards.
So you watched it.
I watched it. I was in center field.
You saw it.
No, it was exactly. I mean, that was like right there. It was like 70 yards behind home plate. And it just goes whammy and hits that house. And it was like, I can see it like it was yesterday. And we all left the field.
Yeah.
Then after
coaches,
you all might come in. Let's stand in the metal dugout under this metal roof and
with the pipe fence.
Till this storm fall. Yeah, and I think we did go back to the field, and I think, yeah, there was significant damage to that house.
I was going to say, did it catch on fire?
No, but I think they were washing clothes at the time, and it blew all the water out of the washing machine.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.